President Obama and his people. We can call this guy the natural resources czar, I think, because that's what we've done. And we've taken away all the authority of the legislature and appointed to one man. And I'm opposed to this. You can comment if you want to, but that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Whenever we're talking about the Natural Resources Trustee, I'm really bothered by that, Mr. Chairman and Representative Egolf, because that means this trustee can actually promulgate any rules. And in my opinion, that's taking the power away from the people that were elected to represent the persons of the state of New Mexico, the taxpayers of the state of New Mexico. And Mr. Chairman, we have seen in rules and regulations being imposed by various departments where this is becoming more and more prevalent. And Mr. Chairman, where does that leave the taxpayer of the state of New Mexico? We are a true citizen legislature here, and whenever the average citizen in our state is not represented anymore by the elected personnel, where does that leave us as a state? Mr. Chairman, we have, it's really troublesome to me because our taxpayers are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest by this, Mr. Chairman. But I've left out one important aspect of this, and I'm going to stop going through the bill because I do have great problems with it. But there is one particular entity in our state that I have not seen a response from in our FIRs or anything else. Has the state land office been informed of this particular bill, and if so, have they sent in any sort of response?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, if there were any representative from the House of Representatives that would be able to speak on behalf of the land office.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that was my question.
Mr. Chairman, Representative asked if they have seen it. So I can't speak on behalf of the land office. I don't know what they've seen. I don't know what they do.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Egolf, I think it's very important that the state land office does issue some sort of response, be notified of this, because as taxpayers of the state, the discussion was held a while ago over how many millions of acres that is owned by the state. So I think that they do have a right to voice their opinion on this, and to me that's very important. Do you agree?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, the Land Commissioner has a right to speak. Certainly, there's been no lack of notice about this bill.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Egolf, I'm really confused here because the 13 million acres that is owned by the state, I think that's a major player in this particular bill. Mr. Chairman and Representative Egolf, have you had a chance to visit with the Office of the State Engineer regarding this?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Representative, I regret that you're confused. I don't know what there is to be confused about. Agencies of the state receive copies of bills, and it is their choice whether to respond or not.
And Representative Egolf, I'm confused because these are major players in this particular bill that do represent the taxpayers of the state of New Mexico. So as far as Mr. Chairman, I think it's very imperative that especially those two entities do take part in this. And if it was just an oversight, maybe we need to hold off on this bill and hear responses from those two entities, because they are representing the people of the state of New Mexico, since the Office of the State Engineer does hold jurisdiction over our water, and the State Land Office does take care of over 13 million acres of state trust land. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm sitting here looking up the gallery, and I see Secretary D'Antonio from the state. Well, Mr. Chairman, Representative Egolf, I'm really confused here because the 13 million acres that is owned by the state, I think that's a major player in this particular bill. Mr. Chairman and Representative Egolf, have you had a chance to visit with the Office of the State Engineer regarding this?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Representative, I regret that you're confused. I don't know what there is to be confused about. Agencies of the state receive copies of bills, and it is their choice whether to respond or not.
Chairman and Representative Egolf, I'm confused because these are major players in this particular bill that do represent the taxpayers of the state of New Mexico. So as far as, Mr. Chairman, I think it's very imperative that especially those two entities do take part in this. And if it was just an oversight, maybe we need to hold off on this bill and hear responses from those two entities, because they are representing the people of the state of New Mexico, since the Office of the State Engineer does hold jurisdiction over our water, and the State Land Office does take care of over 13 million acres of state trust land. Representative Egolf, maybe this is just a committee proceeding, and whenever there are concerns by committee members over why there's been no response, maybe that's the reason the Office of the State Engineer is here today to hear this. Representative Egolf, on page 6 of your bill, section B, it says the venue shall be in the district court for Santa Fe. And Mr. Chairman, it seems to me like this only benefits the Santa Fe lawyers, and I think you do reside in Santa Fe. So, Mr. Chairman, Representative Egolf, this bill could also be called the Plaintiff's Lawyer Relief Act. And Mr. Chairman, in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, that this is only going to drive up the cost of the trial and everything else that is pertinent to this. And Mr. Chairman, on page 7, that was not a question. Mr. Chairman, on page 7 of the bill,
in light of the potential insult to me personally, I think I should be able to respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, my concern here was it's going to have
Wait.
Mr. Chairman, I demand to be able to respond to that attack on me personally, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Egolf, I think we're getting close to where you will be making your closing remarks and you can make those comments then. I'm trying to advance this thing forward
Mr. Chairman, I understand that, but this is an outrageous comment.
Mr. Chairman, I do apologize for that. Mr. Chairman, what I'm trying to point out there, I don't understand why it would not be held in the district court for the county in which this damage was occurred. I apologize for that remark, Mr. Chairman.
I remind the committee again, that when we started, a couple of days back, that there's respect for each other's, and not make jabs, whether it's political or personal or anything in that regard. Members of the committee and people in the audience, and I would just respectfully urge that we keep our esteem high in front of what the public here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I accept your apology, Representative. We're still friends.
Woman, question?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Once again, it was not necessarily directed at you, Representative Egolf, okay? There are lots of lawyers here in Santa Fe. It was not solely directed at you. I apologize for that, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Will I get my hug after the committee meeting?
Mr. Chairman, of course.
Mr. Chairman, on Monday, when we heard this bill down here on the floor of the House, Representative Egolf, you brought up the point that the majority of the people that were responding to your bill, whether they were pro or con, you brought up the fact that the majority of them were paid lobbyists. Mr. Chairman, Representative Egolf, we heard from our private citizens. And Mr. Chairman, every one of us as a member of this body sitting up here is not a paid lobbyist. We are here representing the people that elected us. To uphold their trust is very important to me. And Representative Egolf, I am here representing my constituents. And